Hey, what's going on, everybody, for the 100 Line interview series? My name is Nuke, and today we're joined by Aleksander Varadian. They're the voice of Gaku Maruko in the 100 Line Last Defense Academy, and they've also voiced Ling Yang from Wuthering Waves and Quenzel, who is also from 100 Line. Aleksander, welcome to the show.
Hello, nice to be here.
Perfect. So, I kind of make this joke with all my guests that I try to make this show like Hot Ones, and so, hypothetically speaking, how do you think Gaku would handle spicy food?
Oh, okay. So it is like I have a couple of like really weird career goals that are really not that like sick. One of them is being on a Subway advertisement in New York, and one of them is being a guest on Hot Ones. I love that show. So this is a great question for me. How he would handle spicy food? I feel like Gaku would, I mean, like most things, he would put on a brave face and he would go into it with a lot of confidence, and then he'd ultimately be, sitting on the toilet for the following 3 days and suffering.
Absolutely.
But with style, and with a flair. No
Right.
pun intended.
If he dies, we'll just get the Revive-O-Matic. He'll be fine.
Exactly.
Perfect. So, let's just jump right into it. The 100 Line is a pretty wild game created by the minds behind Danganronpa and Zero Escape. So, as the English voice of Gaku, did knowing the game's pedigree influence your approach at all?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I was a big fan of the Danganronpa series, the game and the anime that came afterwards. So I was kind of familiar with the style, and was really excited to hear the script. And the whole time, like, this happens a lot when you're recording. You don't really get to interact much or do much or hear much of like other people's characters or scenes or things like that. And this game has so many timelines and plot lines and scenes that there's obviously so much that I've never seen or heard. But I recorded quite late in kind of the recording sessions, so I usually had other people's recordings to use. If they had other lines in that scene, they would play them. So that really helped, knowing the style of kind of the Danganronpa universe and how those characters are, the like larger than life, a little bit like rated R, like not afraid to get down and dirty. And yeah, and especially for a character like Gaku, who's like, you could easily, I mean, you could do this for most of them, take them out of 100 Line and put them into Danganronpa pretty easily. But yeah.
Can I ask who your favorite characters are from Danganronpa? Because that's kind of what built my brand a little bit.
Oh God. I mean, I say that, and now it's been years and years since I interacted with that show.
Just
a character like like a Leon,
Okay.
like a those types of characters that, I don't know. It's something about the attitude. Like, I mean, I guess their whole universe is full of characters with attitude, so this could apply to any of them. But maybe it's the baseball thing. Here's the thing. You can feel a certain way about a character when you're playing the game or like interacting with, the actual material. But then you get to the like, I mean, it starts with like the internet discourse, and then you like certain characters, depending on the merch that they get or the like, just like the roll out later, certain characters like will have a cult following that maybe you didn't think of when you were watching or when you were playing it the first time.
Right.
I mean, I found that with Ling Yang and Wuthering Waves too, like, because as a playable character, he's not very good, or he's not bad, but he's not an obvious choice for your team, just like pure stats wise. But the kind of cult following of Ling Yang that happened afterwards, just around his character and plotline and stuff, was really cool.
And we will talk much more about Lin Yang in a little bit. But going back to Danganronpa, I have to ask, what was it like stepping into a project led by such legendary creators like Kodaka and Uchikoshi-san?
I mean, I know you just said we'll talk about it later, but I'm glad that I had the Wuthering Waves experience behind me when I went into that, because, Wuthering Waves is a new franchise. It's, it still has, incredible creators involved in it, but didn't come with, like, it had more to, how do I say that? It kind of had less to prove, and then it turned out, proving itself really well, but it had less to prove because it wasn't building off of a particular legacy or a franchise or something that people had a relationship to before. So there was like kind of a freedom. Whereas with this, I mean, I know not all voice actors are, gamers or nerds or, don't consume stuff. So I'm sure lots of people in the cast didn't have a relationship to the franchise before. But knowing kind of how big of an IP and of just like a universe the Danganronpa chain was, I was super pumped because it's different doing, voicing characters for something that you don't have a relationship with and voicing characters for something you're like, oh shit, I'm now kind of part of this,
right.
Even, part of these creators' worlds. And I had kind of, I hadn't, because I hadn't been following them and what they'd been doing, I was curious in like the back of my mind, not having looked into it, like, oh, I wonder what because they haven't really done much since Danganronpa. I was wondering what they were working on, and then once this came along, I was like, oh shit, this is what they've been working at. And especially in terms of like the artwork and the world building, and I mean, this whole project was so ambitious, and they really just kind of went for it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, being part of that is really cool.
Perfect. So now I want to know, how did you learn about the project, and what did you initially think whilst reading the script?
Ooh, so this is more insight to like voiceover casting world. So for this one, they most of the time they don't tell you what the project is until you like get there, because usually, or they just they want to keep things as cool as possible in terms of like how they roll things out for the fans. We love a good rollout, we love a good surprise. So they keep things pretty under wraps, NDAs and all that. But also they just don't tell you. Like for the auditions for this one, it was interesting because they basically sent all of the characters with like very preliminary sketches of like kind of what they looked like and some traits of their character and what they were looking for, maybe some references for the voice. And then they basically just said, like, at least to me, or I'm assuming to the actors that got it from their agencies or from the castings or whatever, basically said like, send demos for whichever characters you feel like. So I sent for like, I get excited, so I sent for like 6 or 7 different characters that I was like, oh, okay, my voice or my the voices that I can do could fit this character. And then it was like, okay, well, we'll see. If I end up with any of them, which one will I end up with? And it ended up with Gaku, which I think was a perfect fit.
Was he your first choice?
Was my first choice. I don't think he was my first choice just by default of like the order that they came up in, that I opened to be the casting packages and got to read about the different characters. But I mean, I would tape for anyone that was in my age bracket and in my voice range. So any of the like young male protagonist characters and.
So there's another timeline basically where you voiced Takumi, is what you're saying.
There's another timeline where I voiced Takumi. There's another timeline, yeah. Aptly for the game, and I'm sure a lot of the other actors did that too. I haven't talked to any of them about like who else we taped for, but I'm sure the fun thing is, I'm sure we all. I mean, I don't know if other people save this, but I save most of my audition demos just because I don't clean things out. So I'm sure we all have our demos for the other characters that we read for in the beginning, which would be funny to do something with at some point.
I'm not sure if you know Ashley. She voices Nigo and Veshness. I recall while I interviewed her, she mentioned that she was originally going to do Nigo, and then Tom was like, hey, can you also read for this character? Because she's the big bad. And she was like, ooh.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So yeah, it was. I imagine everyone had a couple of those experiences. Because
oh god, I was so excited when they were like, so we have one of the, it's called Quenzele. I was like, yep. I don't care, I'll do it.
I was just about to mention, yep. I was about to mention you also voiced Quenzele or Quenzel, however you want to say it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's incredible that like y'all voiced 2 characters at some points. Like, is there sort of like a difference between voicing 1 character versus 2 in a series that you're familiar with? Is there like a sort of thing that people don't think about when they have to voice 2 characters?
I mean, you just have to be like really honest with yourself about. I mean, it's also not necessarily your job. It's the director, the voice director, and other people's jobs. But you have to be really honest about like what is my range, because if if you can't make them sound like two completely different people, two completely different characters, that's when you need to get someone else to come in and do it. But the good thing with Gaku is that he's so, particularly pitched and so kind of in that like young, bratty sound that it's quite easy for me to go in a different direction for something else. And I think if, I don't have like a huge range as a voice actor. So I don't think I've voiced like, in Stellar Blade, I did like, between 10 and 15 characters, but they were all NPCs. So they all just show up for like, one little scene of dialogue or something at some point. So as the player, you don't notice that maybe they sounded a bit similar. But if you listen to them back to back, you might be like, oh, is that the same? But with with all of the villains in this one, they all have this like larger than life voice. So it was definitely easier.
Got you. So on this show, our fans obsess over origin stories and such. So what do you remember about hosting the Ryback effect in Skien, Norway in 2010? And did you learn anything from that time that helped you recently?
Oh my god. I mean, what do we know about the Ryback effect?
I just read an article that you hosted it, and like there was something with Eurovision. I remember that. But I can't say I've watched it in full, unfortunately.
No. That was like a national local thing in Norway. Wait, what was the question?
What do you remember? What do you remember about hosting it? And did you learn anything from that time that helped you recently?
I remember nothing about hosting it. I just remember that Aleksander Varadian, who was the fiddle playing 2009 Eurovision winner from Norway, he was on a giant projector on Skype, and I was interviewing him over Skype while the audience was in the theater. And I just remember it being weird that I was facing the audience, then he was behind me, but I was supposed to be interviewing him. I was also like 9 or 8 or something like that.
I read that.
So, I'm a bit foggy. But I did a lot of like singing competitions and like children's theater and stuff when I was a kid. So I guess they just kind of put me up for that. As like, he can do it.
And so in addition to acting and singing, I know you're also a writer and director. You've been developing a play called Tamzara, which I read is a, quote, critical and absurd exploration about nationalism and diaspora. Do you find that working on something so grounded gives you a different creative satisfaction compared to voicing a game character?
Ooh, that's a good question. Makes me more grounded. I mean, they're just completely different mediums, like writing. Writing comes with, I think, a lot more responsibilities because you are somewhat the core or the kind of ground zero of the project, of the story, of how you want it to be told, what narrative what do you want to say, basically. You're kind of sitting with all that power, and especially if it's a play where there's usually just one writer, there's the sole playwright. Whereas in TV and film and gaming, you're usually working with multiple people, so you have it's much more of a collective process. But that's not to say that there aren't some incredibly grounded games, plot lines and narratives and games that are, kind of all of the best games or all the ones that do incredibly well usually have some grounding in our reality or in the challenges and the absurdities and the things that we face in life. They're echoed somehow in the game in a way that's packaged in a different world where there are different rules and kind of a different structure, but it's usually at the end of the day about human stuff, and that's what we connect to. So I think, I mean, I don't know what to say. I think I would love to try writing for video games. Or I think first I would like to try writing collaboratively with other people, because when it's just yourself, you don't have anyone to answer to. You can just go with your own ideas. But I love working collaboratively, so I think that would be interesting. It would just be interesting to observe too, like how that process is.
Perfect. So we have this recurring segment on our show called Ship or Skip, where I'll tell you the names of two characters and you'll tell me whether you see them as romantic interests or not. So how does that sound?
Oh, great. Let's go.
All right, Gaku and Kurata.
Oh, Ship. Ship.
You want to elaborate?
I mean, think about Gaku. All right, I need to see. Okay, wait. I need to try and not.
You can spoiler it. No, you can spoiler it. Like, be fine.
No, not spoiler. Just like not be biased. And like I would ship Gaku with
biased.
everyone.
No, I asked Min this question. I asked Sarah this. I asked Aki. I asked everybody who I've talked to. So be biased with your character.
Yeah, but I just want Gaku to, be with everyone or be with someone. So I might just ship him with everyone. But I mean. Let's keep moving. I need before it's like that thing but you have to rank when it's like, oh, rank your things, but you don't know what's coming next. That's the thing. It's like, do I ship them or do I just? I mean, not that I have a limited amount of people to ship, but you get my point.
All right, Yugamu and Gaku. They're both kind of blue design.
I mean, aesthetically, it makes sense. They could, borrow a lot of each other's wardrobe and hair products. So that would work out well, but I don't think Yugamu has the patience for Gaku. Like, are we talking about ship as in like we think this would be a successful relationship?
Yeah, sure. Or if you just think it's cute or anything.
I mean, I think they would also make like battle-wise, they'd make a good duo because Yugamu does a lot of close combat stuff and Gaku is more long range.
Right.
So I guess they complement each other like that. But there's just aesthetically they make sense. Gotcha. It'd be a good visual pair.
True. Gaku and Ava.
No, skip. I would feel bad for Ava. I feel like
that's fair.
I feel like she doesn't deserve to have to go through Gaku.
Gaku and Takumi.
I mean,
you said you ship him with mostly everyone, so
yeah. I mean, Takumi also is like kind of childish and has some like, I don't know. He's not fully grown. You know what I'm saying? Like I think they could. Yeah, they'd be cute. Gotcha. Also, red and blue. Red and blue.
That's true. Gaku is not in this pairing, but I'll name it anyway. The Killing Game Polycule. So that's Takumi, Tsubasa, Dadami, and Yugamu.
As a
polycule, yep.
Oh, wait, one more time?
Dadami, Tsubasa, Yugamu, and Takumi as one polycule. They're in the Killing Game route, like,
I mean, yeah. Like they're all like everyone's hot, so it's hard to be like, no, that would work.
That's actually so fair.
Yeah, those are for evenly aged hot people. So like, who am I to deny them?
That's absolutely fair. All right, so this next question comes from Kuba on Twitter, and they wanted to know, what was the line that solidified the method you chose to exact the tone of Gaku's character?
Oh my god. Oh, it's been so long now. Do I actually remember it? We literally had a line that whenever I was like unsure or whenever we started a session, they would just play that line. Oh my god, what was it? It was one of the long screams. Oh.
Was it like the Commander Execution scream or?
No, it was some dumb like it was so funny. We were laughing at it. It was some like something about. Oh no! I wish I remembered it. It was one of his like one-liners where he's just reacting to something that's happened or something that's so unfair, and he's just like, "Woe is me," and wailing and screaming and. Yeah, we found that one on like the first, or it was one of our like first day, and it was that thing, because on the first day you're still kind of finding, you have your references and you've done your demo and whatever. But that's the first time you're like meeting the writers and meeting the director over video call, and so you're like finding the voice, and that was one of the lines on the first session that we were like, oh yeah, that's so Gaku, because the way it was written as well was just so Gaku.
Got you. So I remember speaking with everybody. They said Tom had prepared like some references for you to like watch or see to like nail the character. Do you remember any of the specific things Tom showed you to help nail Gaku's character? Like a clip from a movie or something like that?
No, I don't remember him showing me anything. Did he? See, this is why we should have had this conversation when you first asked me for this conversation, so my memory would be fresher. And now I can't remember anything.
Well, let me make it easier for you. How was it working with Tom? Let's go with that.
I mean, come on.
The GOAT?
Tom, yeah. Working with Tom was awesome. I mean, that I said it when I wrote it when I posted the trailer. Like this was hands down the most fun I've ever had on a project, like as a voice. And I haven't voiced that many protagonist characters and things like that, and so it's not like the pool is huge, but it was so fun. Just everyone, just the studio too at OM here in London, like they're such gamers, like they're such like fans, and you can tell from the second you walk into the building, like they just have any game they've ever worked on, they have the cover on the wall somewhere. Like the wallpaper is just all the games they worked on, and they've been doing this for decades. So you've got like Xbox One games, you've got all sorts of things, PS2 games, and they also have like weapons in the recording studio. So in case you'd like to handle something to just get the feel of how would your body be when you were saying this line, like, so they basically have toys, right? And it's working at that studio was really awesome, and working with Tom, he's just so I think he was the perfect match for this project with these characters, because he has such a like spark of fun about him, and he's always looking to find like he's looking to laugh. He wants the so we would record a line, and then I give it my all and whatever, and then they're usually muted, right, that I can't really hear them, and then as soon as we stop recording, they unmute themselves, and so many times they would unmute themselves and you just hear him dying laughing, and he's like, that was it, that's the one. Like, he just wants to be as entertained as you would be when you're hearing them when you're playing the game for the first time. So I think for this type of game, with these type of characters and this type of universe, it was just a perfect match.
Got you. So, completely shifting gears, if Gaku were given a few $1 million or a few million yen, what do you think would be the first thing he'd spend it on?
Oh, wow. Oh no, it depends like what mood he's in, or like what his last conversation was to determine whether or not he'd make a responsible decision or an irresponsible decision. I think his knee-jerk reaction would probably be to book like the nicest suite in a love hotel. Mm-hmm. Not even like a bougie love hotel, like he wouldn't even really know that they existed. He would just go for some dingy one, but he would think he was getting like the penthouse suite or whatever.
Right.
I think that would be his like, knee-jerk reaction, and then afterwards, after that night of just debauchery, he would wake up and be like, oh, I probably should have sent some of this home, or bought some new clothes, or yeah. Unfortunately, he doesn't always think with his brain.
That's so fair. What would be one thing he would not do for money?
Ooh. Something he would not do for money. Why is that such a hard question?
Like, if Ato was right here and he's like, drop to your feet and kiss my boots and I'll give you 10,000 yen, would he do that, or is he not doing that?
I think he would try to bargain first to get more. And then when Acho's like no and starts walking away, he'd be like, fine, just do it. That's the thing, is he's not very strong-willed, so I don't think it would take much to convince him. But something he would never do, I don't know. He is quite loyal, so I don't think like if it was someone that he already is loyal to, like people that he's not loyal to, he will sell them out in a second. Like he's not, that's not a problem. But if it was someone that he is loyal to, I think it'd be hard to get him to kind of betray someone that he trusts.
Perfect. This question comes from Squid Candy on Twitter, and they wanted to know: was there a moment you really connected to him, and was there a moment where you really, really wanted to hit him?
First of all, Squid Candy, great name. Oh God, really connected to him. Yeah, I mean, I I connected to him the most. I relate to him the most in any of the situations where he's just like, what is going on? Like, are we like he'd be the like people would be really caught up in whatever the situation was or the discussion was, and he's most of the time the one to be like, excuse me, are we hearing ourselves here? Or like, how did we get, that type of thing. Whenever he would call people out for being ridiculous, that's I think I related the most to him there. And anytime I wanted to kick him, God, I think whenever he's just being a perv. Like, it's okay to be like a flirt and like 10% pervy. Like you can get away with a little bit, but then you have to be a nice person. And the problem is he's not a nice person, so he can't get away with it. So you just want to smack him, and sometimes they did.
That's true. There was something you said I was going to ask you about it, but I just forgot. For this question.
Was it about what I said just now?
I think it was when you were talking about when you connected with him.
About him being like, "What's going on?"
Yes. Okay. So I remember. Yes, it was. Okay. So, was there a moment where you read in the script where you were like, "What is going on? Like, what is this game?" And can you tell me about that moment if it happened?
Oh, the whole time, because we don't get. They were still writing the script. B, we don't get to read the whole script. We only get to see. We don't even get like our lines the day before to be able to prep or anything. Like, we only get to see the lines that are written, that are our lines, on the like while we're in the recording. So we rely on. That's why we have to do the, why we have to have the video calls with the writers and with the translators and with our director on, is because they then give us all the context of the scene. So they go, okay, today we're starting in this timeline where this has happened and this has happened, and Gaku is in this situation, and they're about to go outside, and this is going on. Go, and then you go. So I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know until I got there. And even then, I mean, you don't record chronologically either. So we're jumping in between all sorts of, it's like, oh, now we have to go back to, this other timeline to look at this thing. And so it was, most of the time I was like, what is going on? This was very much a like trust the process kind of game and kind of job. And, they said that to us from the beginning. Like, we don't worry about like, if you can't hang with it, like we will be doing that. We just need to give you the basics and take it from there.
Second to last question comes from Sync Moni on Twitter, and they wanted to know, since Gaku is fond of folk music, are there any specific artists or albums you think he'd like the most, or any other music genres in general?
Whoa! Oh God, you can't spring these questions on me, because now I have to like go through my library, because I love this type of stuff. Ooh, what would be his? He does love a bit of folk. I mean, he also is a DJ, so there's I do feel like. Oh wait, no. I know I said like origin story Gaku, but let's for a second imagine like 24-year-old Gaku, or like Gaku who's now like a DJ and has moved to like some hyper neo techno city, and is just a club promoter or a club owner or something like that. I feel like he's definitely going to end up down that route. Even though I think right now where he's at at the point of the game, he still has like kind of a basic party boy taste in terms of his DJ sets and his music and his, hopefully a very short rap career that he attempts. I think his music change will develop, but I could definitely see him getting into some like some like hyper pop territory could be fun.
It's like 100 gex and all that.
Just, oh my god, 100 gex, 100 line collab. Let's do it. Yeah, because I can't ever see him doing like serious, like super serious music. I feel like there'd have to be a degree of like ridiculousness to it for it to still be Gaku.
That's like one of the best answers I think I've ever heard. Perfect. So, the last question. I have this grand plan to interview all of the 100-line voice actors, and it hit me that I could practically ask any question out there. So that got me thinking about something that the Team Fortress 2 community did, which was to have all of the voice actors say their character name and then the word gaming. So I was hoping that we could get a couple renditions of Gaku Gaming as something for the fans.
Ooh, sure. I should have plugged my microphone in so it was better quality.
You could do that right now if you got time. Yeah,
I could do that right now. Let's do that right now.
All right.
Let's
Take
see.
your time.
Let me get up there. Yeah, Gaku. Okay, let's try it.
All right.
That's what I would have to do every session to like get into his ridiculousness. Gaku Gaming. Gaku Gaming. Gaku Gaming. Something like that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Aleksander Varadian. And so, well, I don't have 3 cameras like on Hot Ones. I just have one. I'll say, let the people know what you have going on in your life. What can you share legally, not violating any NDAs, and where can they find you on social media? And also, are you going to any conventions?
Oh, I wish. I'm gonna pretend like there's cameras. I'm gonna look at all 3 of them, and I'll come back to you. What do I have going on in my life? I am, just working on jobs that I can't talk about. But yeah, I'm doing some super. I just did a voice character on the Neutron game that came out. That was cool, and I am recording a game now that's really exciting. That's a very well. I mean, it's a new franchise, but it's based on kind of existing characters that people know from like Mythos and other just general things. And the character I'm voicing is a very well known and well loved figure in all sorts of kind of fandoms and things. So I'm having a lot of fun with that one. And that will be. I mean, I have no idea when that's coming out because we're still working on it. But you'll see. Yeah, and then I'm filming some stuff, some movies and some TV shows and things in the next couple of months, which is cool. But yeah, this is super boring because I can't say anything about any of them. But you'll see if you follow me on. I'm mostly just on Instagram. I was on Twitter, and then I kind of moved to Blue Sky, and then I never continued on Blue Sky. I might, if people want me to, I will.
Listen, I will say, Twitter right now is the 100-line community. It's in its infancy, which that's what makes it really, really good. And so the fandom is immaculate. So if you feel comfortable with it, get back on Twitter. Like, people will see your post and they will be like, Gaku, I gotta follow them. I saw Min follows you, so I was like, oh.
Good to know.
Like, the fan art is crazy. Like, if you retweet the fan art, people will see it.
Oh, I love the fan art. The fan art was my favorite thing about Withering Waves 2, combing through it. I mean, where else is the 100-line fandom?
Twitter mainly right now. Tumblr at some spots. Instagram, I think, very little, but yeah, Twitter, Tumblr, I think.
Okay, cool. Well, yes, if I do, or when I do, let me put it that way. When I do get back into posting my voiceover updates and stuff, it'll probably be on Twitter. So
Perfect.
Catch me there. And yeah, thanks for having me.